Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I just feel like I'm on repeat. Houston, Texas. What in the cotton picking world is going on out of Houston, Texas? I got to do this again. And Texas takes another L. I got to make a big L. Got to make it nice and straight. My state, my home state, Texas, takes another damn L. But why are we taking an L? I'm going to tell y'all, this story comes out of Houston. If we continue to keep talking about this narrative, I think I'm going to pull my teeth out my mouth. A Houston mother and her boyfriend. How many of you guys are surprised? And of course, they didn't name them. They didn't put their pictures out there. It's beyond me when people do heinous things, but yet they will not put their names and their pictures out there. I don't know what the police and the news reporters are scared of. I don't know what they're scared of. It's a simple accusation that's usually put on by way of the courts. Nonetheless, a Houston mother and her boyfriend were questioned and released without any charges after, and I need to warn y'all, the details about this story are going to be really, really bad. So if you read the title, it's probably going to turn your stomach. So if you need to turn away from the channel, this might be your opportunity. You might need to say goodnight and exit the video, or good day. All right? Because the details are not going to sit with your sensibilities, let alone my opinions. And I think I actually said that earlier. I don't know why people continue to get mad when I tell you in advance that my opinions are going to piss you off. Yes. Yes. Now, a mother and boyfriend were questioned and released with no charges after the woman's not one, not two, but three starving children who are between the ages of 7, 10, and 15 years old. They were found living alone in an apartment with deplorable conditions. Y'all should know what that word means by now. We've done about 4 or 5 videos on nasty people's apartments that are deplorable. What does deplorable means? That means stinky, that means nasty, that means trashy, that means empty, that means spoiled, that means poop. Excuse me. That means poo and pee everywhere. That probably means the toilets weren't working. Nasty bathtubs, no bed sheets, beds laying on the floor, roaches and stuff. Y'all know what deplorable means, right? Just freaking filthy. I don't care how poor you are, there is never an excuse to be nasty. I know homeless people who are not this damn nasty. They were found living in deplorable conditions along with the decomposing remains of their 9-year-old brother, who police said had been dead for a year. Let me say that again. They went to an apartment in Houston. They did not find mom or the boyfriend. Bookmark that. No mom, no boyfriend. They weren't there. They were gone. Nowhere to be found. 3 starving children were found because somebody called and did a welfare check. Said, I think I need to go over here and go check on these people. Okay. So the police go in there to go check, and they find 3 children ages 7, 10, and 15 years old. The 15-year-old, I'm sorry, I don't understand that at all. The 7 and 10-year-old, maybe. 15? You couldn't go for help at 15? Couldn't make a phone call at 15? You didn't know the number to 911 at 15? And I know that's a kid, and I'm sorry, I know we're the AFC, the Advocates for Children, but good Lord. Age 15? Let's get off of that for a moment, because I'm not here to blame the kids. I'm not here to blame the kids. Not going to do that. They were living in deplorable conditions. They were abandoned and they were left there. But here's another huge effing problem. They were found to be living there with decomposing remains, a corpse of their 9-year-old dead brother that had been dead for at least 1 year. WTF. WTF is exactly right. So there were children who were ages 7, 9, 10, and 15. The 9-year-old died and been dead at least for a year. Guys, you're asking who paid rent. We're going to get into all of that because this story is already super confusing. If you guys are listening, make sure you share this story because I don't want nobody to miss this. Hit that thumbs up. Share this with somebody, okay? Because they need to know about this. The siblings and skeletal remains were found at 3535 Green Crest near Addicts Clothing and West Park Tollway in Houston, Texas around 4:30 p.m. on Sunday after police responded to a request for a welfare check. So somebody saw something, smelled something, and said something. The welfare check, oh goodness. The welfare check was made by the eldest child. The welfare check was made by the oldest child, the 15-year-old. So excuse me, I can't even give the neighbors credit for that. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. What the hell is up with these apartment complexes? Let me tell y'all the way most apartment complexes work. They usually will enter your apartment for a few different reasons on a regular basis. For things like pest control once a month, if you need it, I guess. But most places I hear about them doing it once a month. And then also change your air filter. They usually do that in one go. But usually once a month, they will at least walk your apartment for some reason, right? So that means at some point within that time frame, they would have had to have smelled dead ass. You mean to tell me that the police walked in here, they found skeletal remains of a dead 9-year-old boy and nobody smelled nothing? That smell had to have been so damn strong. And I want y'all to think about this. You're not just talking about a dead body. Remember, they said that the apartment conditions were deplorable. Deplorable means absolutely ungodly filthy. That probably means from sinks being clogged up to dirty dishes to spoiled rotten food to bugs. That's going to emit a smell. You take those smells and mix it with the smell of death. Those apartments are not vacuum sealed. That means the smell got around. So you mean to tell me that the people got used to that smell for a year? I'm going to tell y'all, you could probably just drive in that area and probably smell that smell. You could probably be about 2 to 5 miles away from that house and probably from that apartment complex and smell that. Are you kidding me? Nobody noticed nothing? The apartments didn't notice. The neighbors didn't notice. The 15-year-old kid didn't say anything until a year later? I'm sorry. I am so lost. I'm so lost with this. So in 1 year, you had children who were ages 7, 9, 10, and 15. What else does that mean? That means you have at least 4 children who are school age. Maybe you could get away with hiding 1 kid that ain't in school, maybe 2, but how do you hide the fact that you got 4 children that aren't in school? And if they are in school, then that means what? That means that those children, and again, I'm not trying to place blame on them, but I'm just painting a picture for you guys. That means the children had at least the school time to say something. They were in a safe environment to have said something. If they were that scared, then I don't know what to say. But that is just extremely sad. But let's keep going. I don't want to try to harp on the kids too much, okay? Now, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said the 3 brothers were living without adult supervision for months. So if they were living without adult supervision for months, they had plenty of opportunity to leave. Go say something to somebody. Anyway, they were living without adult supervision for months in deplorable conditions, and the body of the dead child was on full display. The dead skeletal remains of that 9-year-old boy were on full display, prompting repeated complaints about a terrible smell from neighbors. The neighbors complained about a bad death smell, and they did nothing in a year. If you ask me, I think that apartment complex, whoever owns it, deserves to lose it. Take it away from them. That's ridiculous. In an update last Sunday, Gonzalez revealed that the children's mother and her boyfriend, which we ain't even got to that point yet, the mother and boyfriend were located and interviewed by homicide detectives. So I'm pretty sure most of y'all probably think they caught the mom, they caught the boyfriend, they're arrested, and this is going to end up going to trial, right? They're going to end up going to trial. They're going to get convicted. They're going to get life in prison for being the world's shittiest parents, right? But contraire, catch this. On Monday, the sheriff announced that the couple was released. They released the mom and boyfriend. The ones who abandoned the children, the ones who abandoned a dead child, the ones who left the apartment in deplorable conditions and left those children helpless. Did y'all hear that right? Did I read it right? Maybe I read it wrong, so I'll read it again. On Monday, the sheriff announced that the couple was released without being arrested or charged with any crime. Nothing. No crime. No explanation was provided for the decision to let the pair go at this time. In response to a request for comment, a spokesperson for the sheriff's office wrote in an email to the news, "This is an active investigation with charges pending." Better be a shit ton of charges. Authorities have not said whether or not they were looking for the children's biological father. While there were no indications that the children were locked in the house, they had seemingly been abandoned by the adults and were fending for each other. I think the oldest sibling was doing the best that he could to take care of the others. Oh my goodness. He did not say whom the apartment was registered to, nor who was paying the rent. And somebody actually said that in the chat earlier, and I'm sorry I skipped your comment, but you were 100% right. So did the apartment complex just let the rent go for 12 months? Did they pay the rent and then abandon the kids? And if they paid the rent there, why would they abandon the kids? Why would you abandon the kids anyway? How would you have money to pay rent for 12 months to a place where you're not even living at? Nothing about this makes any sense. They're connecting all the dots. It seems that they were in there while the body was deteriorating. Jesus. HCSO is now investigating to determine the circumstances that led to the death of the minor and how long the kids had been alone. A neighbor in the apartment complex told the news that she had complained for months about a foul odor emanating from the unit where the shocking discovery was made over the weekend. The teen also revealed that his parents... hold on, let me go back. My article disappeared. Hold on. The teen also revealed that his parents had not been living in the apartment for several months. Deputies were dispatched to the apartment and found the remains of a small child, which is the 9-year-old boy. According to the sheriff, yes, and it could have been Section 8. I didn't even think about that. It could have been Section 8, so maybe the rent was paid for, or maybe it was really, really low rent. Which still, somebody would have still had to been paying it every month, though. I don't know. But anyway. According to the sheriff, who described the situation as heartbreaking, the younger siblings appeared malnourished and showed signs of physical injury. All 3 surviving children were taken to a hospital to be evaluated and treated for their injuries. The minors are now receiving professional assistance, and victims' advocates have been made available to help them cope with the trauma. Homicide investigators, along with CPS and child abuse investigators, are also working on the case, and it's unclear whether any of the surviving siblings were enrolled in school. It is unclear if they were enrolled in school. Ridiculous. Residents in the area said that management had been doing inspection rounds in the area for the last couple of weeks. A neighbor living next door to the siblings told the news that she had no idea there was anyone occupying that unit, let alone children. How does the apartments miss that? She said that 13 or 14 months ago, she first noticed a vile odor wafting from what she thought, I hope I said that word right, from what she thought was an abandoned apartment. The smell was so bad, I want y'all to hear this. The smell was so bad that the woman said that she would be forced to turn off her air conditioning to prevent it from entering her apartment through the vents. How did they not know that that was a damn dead body? There's nothing that smells like that. It was that bad you couldn't turn your AC on. That's incredible. The neighbor says she complained several times to the building's management about the smell, but it is unclear if anyone had gone to the unit housing the siblings to inspect it, which it sounds like they didn't. And if they didn't, then again, that's another indictment on the apartment complex. Police said the investigation is still pending in preliminary stages. Let me see. Very horrific situation here. Very tragic. I've been in this business for a very long time and have never heard of a scenario like this. It really caught me by surprise, said Gonzalez when addressing the media. We're really trying to identify the next of kin to determine exactly what happened and how we got to this point, where we're going to make sure and conduct a thorough investigation. Here's the thing. You have a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a deceased 9-year-old. Besides the deceased child, can't the 15-year-old tell you what the hell happened? Can't the 10-year-old? My 2-year-old daughter would have been able to tell you what was wrong, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to say that. I know these are kids, y'all. I'm sorry. When my daughter was 2 years old, she could have told you what happened. These kids are 7, 10, and 15. This is just too much. Fair usage, let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Somebody's got to turn some logic out of this, man. But if you guys are listening, please make sure y'all click this thumbs up. More people got to hear about this story. If y'all would, please click that thumbs up and share this story, okay? Here we go. Let's get it.
This morning, a story that is making national headlines. 3 boys found abandoned inside an apartment unit in southwest Harris County.
Deputies say they made the discovery doing a welfare check. KPRC2's Sophia Ojeda live at the apartment complex where the children were found. Sophia?
Yeah, good morning. We know this morning authorities tell us that they have found the children's mother and the mother's boyfriend, and they are now being interviewed by homicide investigators. We also have learned that the Harris County Sheriff's Office learned the 15-year-old brother was the one who called them and said his 9-year-old brother had been dead for a year and was in the room next door. A horrific discovery late Sunday at the City Park 2 apartments on Greencrest Drive in West Houston. Authorities say 3 boys were found abandoned with the skeletal remains of another sibling inside the apartment.
And when they arrived, they discovered 3 juveniles just at plain view. It appears they're living in pretty deplorable conditions.
Investigators say the 15-year-old brother called the Harris County Sheriff's Office and said his parents had not lived in the apartment for months. A 10-year-old and 7-year-old sibling were also there, malnourished and with some signs of injuries. The skeletal remains of a 9-year-old sibling were also discovered. Authorities say he had been there for quite a long time.
You know, very disturbing sets of circumstances, so we definitely want some answers for these children.
The sheriff said the kids were getting food somehow, but they were not sure how or who was leaving it. The children are now being checked out at an area hospital. The Department of Family and Protective Services now seeking emergency custody of the 3 boys.
Really just heartbreaking, Tom. Now, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez was here, and he has been to many, many crime scenes throughout the years. He says he's never seen anything quite like this. It all happened at this apartment complex right here. And the question really tonight is, where were these parents, and how could they ever have let their children live like this? Authorities showed up to this apartment complex for a welfare check, not knowing the horrifying scene they were about to walk into.
Been in this business for a long time, and I had never heard a scenario like this.
3 kids, 15, 10, and 7 years old, found on the 3rd floor apartment, abandoned and in deplorable conditions. The skeletal remains of another kid also discovered. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez believes they're all siblings.
It appears that they were basically fending for each other. Which is very sad.
The sheriff says the body has been slowly deteriorating for an extended period of time. As neighbors watch the investigation unfolds, many left with questions about where the parents could have possibly been.
That's really concerning because I'm a mom and I can never imagine leaving them abandoned anywhere. And it's kind of heartbreaking and it's sad.
Neighbors say the apartment complex, City Park 2 at West Oaks, has been doing inspections the past month. One resident shared this email with a reminder for her apartment. We were kicked off the property by management who wouldn't answer our questions about the last time that apartment was inspected.
Very disturbing sets of circumstances, so we definitely want some answers for these children.
The 3 kids now in the care of the sheriff's office. I'm Brooke Taylor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Good evening and thank you for being with us. I am Xavier Walton, and we start with that disturbing discovery in West Harris County. These 3 children found abandoned along with the skeletal remains of a 9-year-old. Investigators say one of the children told deputies those remains are his 9-year-old brother who died a year ago. Zach Tawatara joining us from that area. And Zach, what have law enforcement learned about this?
I don't get how you sit and look at your dead sibling for a whole damn year. Dead. Day after day after. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Xavier, we're just outside the City Park 2 apartments near Addicts Clothing and the West Park Tollway. That heartbreaking discovery made inside those gates when deputies were making a welfare check. This investigation, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says, is still in the very preliminary stages. It's a situation that neighbors can't believe, and the sheriff says he's never seen in his career. It's hardly imaginable. Children believed to be 15, 10, and 7 years old abandoned. The skeletal remains of possibly another, says Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, discovered on the 3rd floor of an apartment building in West Harris County.
Very horrific set of circumstances.
Becca, a mother who lives here, was devastated to learn about the heartbreaking discovery.
It's just crazy and absurd.
The situation hits her especially hard because she's a mom.
And I have a 21-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I can never imagine leaving them abandoned anywhere.
Sheriff Gonzalez says this living situation appears to have been ongoing for quite a long time.
I've seen a lot. I've responded to a lot of different scenes, so have these men, and we can never think of these type of circumstances coming together in this way.
The sheriff says it's possible that the skeletal remains belong to a sibling of the 3 children. Authorities are looking for any relative, as we don't know the identity of the parents yet. As for the children's condition, they're being evaluated and currently in the care of the department. The management company was on site but declined to comment. Xavier?
All right, Zach Tawatari, thank you, sir. Well, Precinct 4.
502, now to an investigation into a horrific discovery in West Harris County. 3 children were found abandoned, along with the skeletal remains of a 9-year-old. Just a horrible story. Investigators say one of the children told deputies those remains were his brother's.
He said that boy died a year ago. Our Michelle Choi joins us live from that scene. Michelle, good morning to you. This is a very tough story you're covering this morning. What have you found out?
Yes, Steph and Lauren. Well, the sheriff's office says the children's mother and her boyfriend have since been found, and last check were being interviewed by homicide investigators. As you mentioned, this story is both disturbing and heartbreaking. Deputies say the oldest of the 3 children found abandoned was the one who called 911. The 15-year-old claiming he and his siblings for the past year have been living with the remains of his younger brother in a room next to his. The gruesome discovery made here at the City Park 2 apartments behind me on Greencrest Drive. Take a look at some scene video when deputies responded to that 911 call. Inside, they found a 3rd floor apartment, a 7, 10, and 15-year-old alone, as well as the skeletal remains of a small child. Deputies say the 7 and 10-year-old children appeared malnourished and show signs of physical injury. All 3 children were taken to a hospital to be treated. They say the 15-year-old told deputies his parents hadn't been living in the apartment with them for several months. The situation shocking neighbors and even leaving the sheriff stunned.
I've seen a lot. I've responded to a lot of different scenes, so have these men, and we can never think of these type of circumstances coming together in this way.
No word yet on any charges. As for how exactly the little boy died, that'll be determined by the medical examiner's office. We're also waiting to find out why all of this is just now coming to light when the children were abandoned months ago.
Right.
Malnourished and showing signs of physical harm. That is what Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is saying about a horrifying case of child neglect.
Children were found abandoned in an Alief area apartment complex. One of the siblings, a 9-year-old, was found dead inside. KPRC2 Sophia Ojeda joining us live from downtown Houston with the latest in this case. Sophia, good morning.
Good morning. I did just speak with Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, who told me that the mother and the boyfriend, they were interviewed last night and they were released and no charges have been filed. Meanwhile,
I actually have a theory. I have a theory. How many of you guys want to hear my theory? I have a theory as to why the children were abandoned and what the mother abandoned the children for. Would you guys like to hear my theory? If you would, let me know. Make sure y'all also click that thumbs up. If you want to hear my opinion, my theory, before any of this comes out, let me know. I'll be glad to tell you what I think was the reason why her and boyfriend abandoned the kids.
While Child Protective Services tells us an emergency removal is set to be filed today here in family court for the three brothers, and that CPS does have history with this family, but there was no active investigation at the time the children were found. The sheriff says they were called to the home on Greencrest Drive yesterday after the 15-year-old brother called them and said his younger 9-year-old brother was deceased and had been in the room next to his for the past year. When they arrived, they found the boy's remains in the apartment, and the 15-year-old, 10-year-old, and 7-year-old living in deplorable conditions, malnourished with signs of injuries. The sheriff says the boys were getting food, but it's not exactly clear how they were getting it. Last night, the mother and her boyfriend were taken into custody and interviewed by homicide investigators. They have since been released and no charges have been filed. Again, there is an emergency removal hearing set for today here in family court for the three boys. We could learn a lot about what happened from that removal affidavit, but that is only if the judge chooses to release it. Of course, we'll stay on top of the story and bring you the very latest. The sheriff telling us that this case is still under investigation.
Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff. For a long time, and I had never heard a scenario like this. It really caught me by surprise.
And horrific discovery. That's what Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez is calling a crime scene at an apartment complex.
3 boys found abandoned inside an apartment unit. Their ages 15, 10, and 7. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says skeletal remains of a 4th child, possibly a 9-year-old sibling, also found. This disturbing discovery made during a welfare check. Now, deputies are working to learn exactly how this happened. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sion Rhodes.
And I'm Jonathan Martinez. We've also learned the mother and her boyfriend are being interviewed by homicide investigators. It happened at the City Park 2 apartments on Greencrest Drive near the West Park Tollway. That's in Southwest Harris County. And that is where we find KPRC 2's Bill Barajas. And Bill, we're learning other new information tonight as well.
Well, that's right. According to the sheriff's office, the 15-year-old boy, the oldest found in that apartment unit, is the one who actually called the sheriff's office to tell them that his 9-year-old brother had been dead for about a year and was in the room right next to him. He also told investigators his parents hadn't lived in the home for several months. Crime scene tape was out front. The apartment in question on the 3rd floor at the City Park 2 at West Oak Apartment Homes. Residents and visitors to the complex shaken by the disturbing discovery.
This is very shocking for me, very shocking and sad, very sad. And my thing is, where's the parents and why would you leave your children? 3 children, ages 15, 10, and 7 years old, were found abandoned. Along with them, the skeletal remains of a minor and possibly a sibling of the 3 boys. Joy Shorter telling us there was an odor in the air.
It was coming all over here. And so we walked in. I was like, oh, something smells bad.
The county's top cop calling the situation horrific.
At plain view, it appears they're...
Sorry, I'm sitting there talking. Didn't have a mic on. Just realized that. And I said, no, it didn't smell bad. What I said was death doesn't smell bad. Death smells like death. It is a horrific, nightmarish smell. There's no mistaking that smell. So for that many people to ignore that is just absolutely insane.
Living in pretty deplorable conditions. I haven't been told that they were necessarily locked in, but that age, it appears that they were basically fending for each other.
Sheriff Ed Gonzalez saying the children did appear to have food, but didn't know where they were getting it or who was paying the rent at the complex. We tried asking management about the incident, but were asked to leave the property instead.
Guys would exit now. Thank you very much.
Oh, so she gonna come out and come kick them off the property. You see this little fat butterball turd? Look at this woman.
Guys would exit now.
Look at that. Man. So this woman could come bring her big, nasty, frumpy looking self out there and come tell them to get off the property from filming. But you know what? I think they ought to be protected by the police. Like, they ought to be able to be there. Like, hey, we're here with the Harris County Police. Like, whenever you have police, you should have investigators. That should go hand in hand. That should not be allowed, that woman could come bring her big frumpy self out there and come tell them to get off the property from reporting, when not reporting was the problem to begin with in the first damn place. Is it not? Nobody reported that these people had this apartment nasty. Nobody reported that these kids had been abandoned. Nobody reported there was a dead body in there. Nobody reported the bad smell. Not reporting is the problem. And now you're kicking out the reporters so they can't report, fat woman. Huh? Do we need to give you another hot dog? You want another hamburger? You mad because they didn't bring you no McDonald's? Like, why are you acting like that? That woman needs to be in jail for coming out there and telling them to get off the property. Are you kidding me?
Thank you very much.
And again, all this information coming down in the last few moments. It's still unclear right now how that 9-year-old sibling died. And the sheriff's office saying the children...
That woman is clearly ready for Thanksgiving. Big stuffed turkey looking self.
Did have some injuries, but are now in the care of the county. Again, the parents have been found and are being questioned by homicide investigators as we speak. Live from now in Southwest Harris County, Bill Barajas, KPRC 2 News.
That was the most opportune time to come out there and tell somebody to get off your property. No, ma'am. That's the time that they need to be on your property, to be reporting and getting some information over there, because it sounds like those people are being like they're hostages in their own apartment homes. Everybody shouldn't have to up and move because y'all asses didn't come over there and come take care of something very simple that would have taken you a few minutes to do. From the first time they reported it, the second, third, fifth, they just kept ignoring it. People couldn't even turn their air conditioners on. Are you kidding me? Look, here's my theory. Here's my theory. Let's just get to my theory. Let's get it over with. Y'all see this shirt? If you can't tell what this shirt actually says, let me straighten it up a little bit. This shirt says hashtag babies for benefits. The reason why I created this shirt and I wear this shirt is because I believe that there are too many people out in the world that only have children so they can collect benefits from those children, off of those children, live off of those children. Whether it be to get Section 8, which I'm going to assume, which would actually be better for the apartment to actually be a Section 8 apartment, because if it is, that would actually explain why the rent was probably either cheap, reduced, or free, number one. Number two, also for food stamps, which doesn't come out of a person's pocket. It comes out of taxpayer money, like us, but they get food stamps. They also can get medical care. They also can get car vouchers in some places. If you look it up, I've actually found them. They are in a lot of states. You just have to look them up. Also, you can get child support if you didn't know. You could also, nowadays, since the pandemic, you could also get stimulus checks. You could also get child tax credits. That sounds like I didn't even talk. Did I even say child support? I don't know if I said child support, but throw that in there. Child support, yes. Yep. So you're talking about a number of things that you can get, and those things can actually increase in value the more children you have irresponsibly. Hashtag not all for the people who are out there who are about as fast as molasses, who maybe didn't catch that, and if it went over your head, okay? That price multiplies as you have more kids. This woman had 4 kids. What do you want to bet that all 4 of those kids probably had different dads? Huh? Probably had different dads. And the reason I say that is because I want y'all to look at the fact that she didn't care about any of those children. She didn't leave 1, she didn't leave 2, she left 4 to fend for themselves. And it sounds like 1 died flat out from starvation, exhaustion, or something. Left them, but who was that whore found with? Talk to me, people, please. Somebody talk ghetto to me, please. Who did the police find her with? That's right, her penis. They found the biological mother and they found her penis pump, aka her boyfriend, a nigga that ain't shit. Found her with him, but didn't find her with her kids, which she was the one who chose to bring those kids into this world against their will and abandon them. What do you want to bet that the biological fathers probably had no idea that this was even going on, and they probably were denied an opportunity to be fathers to those kids because they had to jump through hurdles and hoops in order to have to pay for lawyers, go to court, pay inordinate amounts of child support, and they just said, screw it, you take the kids, I'm going to go on about my happy little life. But I guarantee you, if the biological fathers would have known, they would have taken custody of their kids. If you would have just said, here, come pick up your kids, they would have done it. But you know why that didn't happen? Because I noticed nobody said this in the chat yet. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Based on information that somebody gave me, and I keep my sources confidential, somebody actually told me the mother was still getting her check. Boom. So she still gets her money and still gets her penis and don't have to deal with the kids. And as of right now, she has not been admonished. She has not been scolded. Nobody has said a bad word about this bitch. Why? Because we don't know her name. We don't know the kid's name, so we can't attach it to the mom. The police and the media get real slick with this. They're making my job real hard, okay? They're making my job real hard. We have no name, no face, no case. Isn't that something? And she can go on about her little happy life, and she can continue to keep sucking and swallowing. Probably out making more kids, continue to be irresponsible. I don't even think they allow this type of thing to go on in third world countries, let alone America, let alone one of the greatest states in the United States, Texas. But good Lord, Houston, come on. Houston continues to produce some of the worst stories I have ever heard of. One of my biggest stories, one of my biggest videos on this channel is out of Houston, Texas, the Samantha Bell story. How many of you guys actually listened to that story? Go listen to that one. They were in some raggedy apartments just like these, low income, just like these. And a mom who didn't give a crap about her kid, just like these. That can't be a coincidence. In one city, they continue to keep producing these stories. And I never run out of stories of these children missing, these children getting raped, these children getting shot, these children being stabbed, these children being burned. These children being left in deplorable conditions, because there have at least been 4 or 5 of them that I've done out of Houston on my channel. And children being left for dead. Why? Because mom still got her paycheck. It's just that simple. Mom valued that little bit of money, that little bit of monetary gain over her kids. Used them like they were nothing. Mom used these kids like she uses a pair of her dirty drawers. She change them when she want to, wash them when she want to, and throw them away when she want to, when it benefits her. As far as Mom's dildo, her boyfriend, when these charges come out, because there's no way that they can't charge this mom with something that gets her at least 93 years in prison, at least. I think the boyfriend needs to get half as much time, unless he was the one who actually participated and caused the murder. But if he was just a tag along, he should at least get half of that. Give mom 93 years, give the boyfriend 48 years in prison. This is ridiculous. One of the dumbest stories I've ever heard. And again, I'm still having trouble because my daughter is almost as old. Actually, my daughter is less than 1 year older or younger, less than 1 year younger than this woman's oldest child. So I have a daughter this same age. And my daughter has been well educated, very smart, very bright, very intelligent for a very long amount of time. It wouldn't have taken 12 months for my daughter to go get some damn help. It wouldn't have taken her 12 weeks. It wouldn't have taken her 12 days. It wouldn't have taken my daughter 12 minutes. Maybe not even 12 seconds. I'm sorry to say that, and that breaks my heart to say that about these kids. But there is so much more to this story that maybe it's best for us that we don't find out what the real story is. But I hope we get justice for those kids, especially for the one that passed away. We'll definitely be doing an update on this. It's in my home state, so I'm going to hear about it probably just around the same time that y'all hear about it. We'll come back and we'll talk about this more, and we'll see if I was right about my theory, okay? Thank y'all so much for listening to the story with an open mind as well as an open heart. We'll be back for an update, okay? Thank you.